that we have been called to, that is not the moment for which this text cries out. That is not why I flew all the way across the country looking for spring not to find it. No, we have been called to something greater than that, larger than that, and it is to this possibility of loving those who others find difficult to love. Embracing others that people would prefer to push to the margins, inviting into our space no matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, proclaiming with a loud voice, you are welcome here. In this place, you are welcome. In this place, you are loved. In this place, you are cared for. In this place, you are seen as magnificent because God made you that way, and I noticed. Yeah. Well, I gotta tell you, sometimes when I read a text like this, I struggle to figure out how to make it plain, and sometimes when I struggle to figure out how to make a thing plain, I think back to children's stories because really, they do so much of a better job than most preachers. And I am reminded of a story, tell me if you've heard it before, about the pelican and the grasshopper. It is a wonderful, wonderful story. You see, there was a pelican and a grasshopper. They both happened to be males, but forgive them for that at this moment. And they were the best of friends, this pelican and this grasshopper. They were the best of friends because they went to the same church. And they were inseparable. If you saw the pelican, you saw the grasshopper, well, if you look closely. And when you saw the grasshopper, you saw the pelican, and the pelican was much easier to spot. And I mean a pelican like the kind we have in the South. This was a pink pelican with fabulous feathers. And I mean, just an absolutely exquisite being. And this was a wonderfully green grasshopper. And they were the best of friends. And they went to church, and I've got to tell you, most of the folks in church did not understand how it was that a pelican and a grasshopper could be the best of friends. I mean, they're not even the same species. How does that work out? They weren't the same color. They didn't like the same things. They were a part of two different political parties. They listened to two different kinds of music. They weren't the same size. They didn't wear the same outfits. They didn't shop in the same shoe store. People did not figure out what in the world connected the pelican and the grasshopper because they were inseparable and it simply did not make sense. You see, even in church there were differences. The pelican and the grasshopper did not worship in the same way. You see, the pelican is a very proud, distinguished, and introverted gentleman. And so for the pelican, when he was in worship, the best part of any worship service for the pelican was the music. There was nothing better in the pelican's world than being able to come into a house of worship and to sit there and to allow the music to simply wash over him. And anytime he heard an amazing choir like Total Experience, you can amen. Anytime they heard a fabulous organ, anytime he heard music, whether it was just instrumental or it was the sound of you know, the amazing voice of a soloist, this pelican would sit and he would close his eyes and he would lift his hands and he would just let the music fall over him. would remember the words to the hymns that his grandmother sang. He would remember those moments when silence were the sweetest words he could hear from God. In that moment, he would be transfixed. It was as if the doors of heaven had opened and he had been allowed to walk. Those moments were quiet and still. And even though he sat in an audience surrounded by people, in that moment he was alone with his God. Alone with the one who had said yes to him as a pelican, yes to his glorious feathers, and yes that he was proud enough to wear pink as an ant.